Hello, this is David Ben Ariel, author of Beyond Babylon, Europe's Rise and Fall. The first time I was in Israel was in 1980. I was only 20 years old. I was with the Worldwide Church of God, and we went there to celebrate the Christian Feast of Tabernacles before it became somewhat popular among professing Christians. Here's a picture of me when I was only 20 during that trip, during that pilgrimage. I'm on the Mount of Olives, and Jerusalem's in the background, including that Dome of the Rock that years later, in 1996, on the front page of the Jerusalem Post, they said I was involved in a plot to blow it up. It's not true. I do call for it to be removed, for the Israeli government to remove the mosque and restore the Temple Mount as the Temple Mount, as I've been known to say and write consistently and persistently over the years, as I am a Christian member of the Temple Mount faithful. This shirt that I have on right now is a shirt that I had back then and wore it in our demonstrations, where we call upon the Israelis to remove the mosques that are on the Temple Mount and build the temple, just like it's supposed to be. But we call upon the government to do it. We're not calling upon any vigilantes. It's the government's responsibility. But anyway, 1980, for the Feast of Tabernacles, Sukkot in Hebrew, is the first time that I was in Israel. And since then, I've been back 12 times. I've lived on 8 different kibbutzim. You might have heard of a kibbutz before, a collective farm, a commune. I've lived in 8 of those, including during Operation Desert Storm. I lived up north, next to the border of Syria and Lebanon at Kibbutz Dan, which is where I took this picture. And this picture is of Nahal stream. It's a stream, Dan, and it's one of the 3 sources that feed the Sea of Galilee. But I lived there, and I lived on the Mediterranean at Kibbutz Sdot Yam and studied Hebrew, Kibbutz Reshafim, Ragavim, Ha'on on the Sea of Galilee, Shoval in the desert, Ramat Yochanan, where I had a kibbutz mother, an adopted mother, so to speak, who was a Holocaust survivor, Miriam Weiss. She's since died, and when I return to Israel, I hope to visit her grave. It's in northern Israel. And I've lived in other kibbutzim, Reshafim, near Beit Shan, and a total of 8, as well as in Jerusalem. And the last time I was living in Jerusalem, I had a full-page article, near full-page article called "Will Jerusalem Become an International City?" And in that article, I not only call upon the Israelis to restore the Temple Mount as the Temple Mount, to build the 3rd temple, as the prophecies say soon will be built, but I warned about the German Jesuit plan to take over Jerusalem. Many Jews and Christians know that the Germans, who once led the so-called Holy Roman Empire, the German nation, as well as the Vatican, have never given up their dream, have never given up coveting Jerusalem, and they want that crown Jerusalem, especially the crown jewel, the Temple Mount, which is why some of us warn for the Israelis not to fall for the Pope, whose white robes are stained with the blood of many martyrs. But we warn them, as I did in this full-page ad, the Germans are coming. I had that published in the Jewish Voice and Press in January. And this month I have "Beware Roman Wolves in Sheep's Clothing." And that's what the pagan Pope amounts to. He has his evil eye on Jerusalem, and he can talk peace all he wants and pretend that he wants peace between the Israelis and so-called Palestinians. But what he wants is for the Catholic Church to rule Jerusalem and the world, and biblical prophecy shows that they actually will, until the real Jesus Christ returns from heaven and establishes his kingdom on earth and does away with all those false religions. But I am trying to do what I can to help warn the world about the Roman Catholicism and their deceitfulness and their pagan pope. And you can read all about it online in my book, Beyond Babylon, Europe's Rise and Fall. It's free. And I encourage you to go to my website, davidbenariel.org.